The lights are blinding, the crowds are roaring, and behind the camera, illusions rule. In Hollywood, stars and scars, we trace the hidden paths where fame turns fragile beauty becomes weaponized, and the industry's glitter hides a ledger of betrayal. This is a vault of Hollywood scandals, actors whose choices, surgeries, and secrets became headlines, careers shattered by exposure, and reputations quietly erased. By the midpoint, one rising star faces a moment that cost everything. Overnight, an intimate decision turned public spectacle. What happened in that single instant? And who survived the fallout? The answers lie deeper than the flashbulbs ever captured. Behind the glitter, the scars remain. Welcome to Hollywood Stars and Scars. Number 10. Baise-moi. The film France wanted to bury. At the height of her career, Karen Lancôme and Raffaella Anderson were icons of French indie cinema. Young, striking, fearless in their pursuit of roles that challenged conventional storytelling. Red carpets welcomed them with flashing cameras, festivals celebrated their daring performances, and critics lauded their commitment to raw authenticity. Every interview, every magazine spread reinforced the image of actresses willing to push boundaries, fearless and untouchable under the European spotlight. Their careers seemed bulletproof, their allure magnetic, their reputations carefully curated for both acclaim and controversy. Then came Baise-moi, a film that blurred lines between narrative and reality. The project's explicit content ignited international outrage. Headlines questioned the morality of the performances, while studio executives scrambled to contain fallout. Distributors hesitated, festival screenings sparked debates, and the actresses faced both public scrutiny and professional warnings. Reports stated that the media frenzy threatened to overshadow every previous credit, turning their careers into a lightning rod for tabloid sensationalism. Interviews turned tense. PR teams worked overtime, and the film's notoriety eclipsed any artistic merit. A calculated risk had metastasized into a career-defining crisis. In the aftermath, both women weathered professional isolation, their names forever entwined with controversy rather than cinematic achievement. Critics continued to debate whether their performances were courageous art or exploitative spectacle. Industry insiders claimed opportunities dwindled, and the actresses were forced to navigate a public narrative they never fully controlled. Fame had exacted its toll. The glow of red carpets now shadowed by whispers and editorial caution. The scandal etched a permanent scar on their trajectory, a cautionary marker of artistic bravery colliding with unforgiving industry scrutiny. When the glare finally faded, it left an uncomfortable silence, a reminder that ambition and audacity in Hollywood often come at an invisible cost. This tension of personal exposure and public backlash set the stage for the next story, Suk-Yin Lee, a broadcaster whose creative risk would nearly erase her career entirely. Number 9. Shortbus, the broadcaster who almost lost everything. At the pinnacle of her career, Suk-Yin Lee commanded both the airwaves and the screen, a broadcaster celebrated for wit, intelligence, and fearless artistry. Red carpets gleamed beneath her presence. Awards ceremonies lauded her versatility, and audiences trusted the persona carefully cultivated over years of precision work. Her public image was untouchable, confident, elegant, and daring in ways that made her both relatable and aspirational. Every interview, every live segment, reinforced the aura of control, a professional, fully in command of both reputation and opportunity. Then came Shortbus, a cinematic experiment that blurred performance and intimacy with unprecedented frankness. Lee's participation placed her at the center of scrutiny that extended far beyond artistic critique. Paparazzi flashes captured whispered speculation. Media outlets ran headlines questioning professionalism, and the public narrative threatened to eclipse years of carefully built credibility. Reports stated that network executives feared association, and colleagues quietly distanced themselves, signaling a subtle but sharp isolation. Interviews grew tense, PR teams worked overtime, and the broadcast world seemed to shrink overnight. A calculated risk intended to stretch creative boundaries had metastasized into a career-defining pressure point. In the wake, Lee navigated intense scrutiny while maintaining her voice and presence in media circles. Industry insiders claimed that opportunities shifted the public's gaze, lingered more on controversy than talent, and the line between personal autonomy and professional image blurred in lasting ways. While her career did not collapse entirely, the episode left an indelible mark, a warning of how swiftly perception can overtake performance. Fame proved fragile, and visibility became a double-edged sword. The glare of acclaim can vanish faster than the applause, leaving only whispers and headlines. The fragile intersection of ambition and exposure would next test Karl Glusman, whose audacious Love in 3D gamble would put a rising career on the line. Number 8. Love in 3D. Karl Glusman's career gamble. At the peak of his early career, Karl Glusman was a rising actor, defined by sharp features, commanding screen presence, and a reputation for selecting bold, challenging roles. Red carpets reflected youthful promise, industry insiders praised his intensity, and audiences were captivated by the combination of charisma and restraint he brought to every performance. Every interview reinforced a carefully maintained image, a talented actor poised for mainstream recognition without sacrificing artistic credibility. His trajectory promised acclaim, festival invitations, and the steady accumulation of influence in a competitive Hollywood ecosystem. The turning point came with Love in 3D, an audacious project that demanded a level of vulnerability few mainstream actors had attempted. The film's explicit material, combined with its immersive 3D presentation, immediately attracted media speculation. Headlines questioned Glusman's judgment, casting doubt on whether his commitment to realism was career-enhancing or reckless. Reports stated that PR teams worked frantically to navigate early festival reactions, while leaked on-set interviews fueled gossip that threatened to eclipse the film itself. Industry insiders claimed studio executives quietly questioned his marketability, creating a tense standoff between artistic integrity and commercial survival. What began as a deliberate choice to expand his range quickly became a test of public tolerance and professional resilience. In the aftermath, Glusman's performance was polarizing. Critics debated bravery versus sensationalism, and the actor himself was forced to defend both career and personal integrity. Opportunities reportedly shifted as the industry recalibrated, weighing risk against talent. The spotlight that once promised ascendancy now highlighted vulnerability, leaving the actor caught between acclaim and scandal. Fame revealed its dual nature, a reward and a trap, with every daring choice carrying potential irreversible consequences. The illusion of control in Hollywood can fracture in a single moment. The shadow of rumor would next reach back decades, haunting a masterpiece long after its premiere. Don't Look Now, and the speculation that lingered around it. Number 7. Don't Look Now, the rumor that haunted a masterpiece. At the height of their careers, Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie were cinematic royalty icons of subtlety, elegance, and intellectual gravitas. Red carpets celebrated their presence, award shows honored their artistry, and critics revered their ability to command a scene without spectacle. Every press appearance reinforced an image of refinement and credibility, a pair whose talent seemed untouchable, their professional judgment unimpeachable, and whose performances were benchmarked as flawless examples of screen discipline. Then Don't Look Now entered the public consciousness, not just as a haunting psychological thriller, but as the subject of persistent rumor. Decades after its release, whispers circulated about the intimate scene between Sutherland and Christie, suggesting it may have crossed from performance into reality. Paparazzi retrospectives, film retrospectives, and tabloid speculation fueled the fire, while industry insiders claimed that festival programmers and distributors debated how to frame the film without igniting scandal. Interviews became tense in archival footage, and every magazine reference walked the line between homage and accusation. The media speculation became part of the movie's mythology, threatening to overshadow its narrative and artistic achievements. Reports stated that both actors consistently denied the rumors, yet the whispers persisted, a reminder that public perception can resist correction indefinitely. The film's legacy became entwined with its unconfirmed controversy, the mastery of cinematic suspense now paired with the shadow of doubt. Careers survived, but the image of control and refinement was punctured by decades of insinuation. Fame, even when earned through discipline, is vulnerable to the persistence of myth and rumor. The illusions that surround even the most meticulous performance can linger indefinitely, shaping reputations long after the final cut. That tension between talent and rumor would next collide with the world of rock, where a legendary band's on-screen betrayal became a story of trust, loyalty, and public spectacle. Performance and the scandal that followed. Number 6. Performance. The rock star betrayal rumor. At the peak of the 1960s rock explosion, Mick Jagger and Anita Pallenberg were the embodiment of rebellion and allure. Red carpets, magazine covers, and concert arenas celebrated their magnetism. Jagger's charisma unmatched, Pallenberg's style iconic. Together they projected an image of untouchable power, a couple whose influence spanned music, fashion, and Hollywood's social elite. Every appearance reinforced their control, every interview a carefully curated narrative, and every performance cemented a reputation for fearless glamour and calculated edge. The turning point emerged around Performance, a project intended to fuse cinema and rock's avant-garde sensibility. Industry whispers and tabloid speculation suggested improvised intimacy between Jagger and Pallenberg, amplified by their real-life romantic entanglements and the film's provocative content. Reports stated that crew tension and on-set disagreements were quickly overshadowed by public interpretation, as headlines questioned morality, professionalism, and consent. PR teams scrambled to clarify context. Festival screenings became flashpoints, and the media frenzy elevated rumor into myth. Insiders claimed that the scandal distracted from the film's artistic achievements, shifting focus from experimental storytelling to personal betrayal and public spectacle. In retrospect, the allegations remained unresolved but persistent, becoming a defining shadow over both careers. Pallenberg's public image absorbed waves of scrutiny, while Jagger's rock star aura insulated him from equivalent damage. The project itself gained cult status more for scandal than innovation, and the story illustrates the fragility of celebrity credibility when personal relationships collide with public perception. Even brilliance cannot shield against the distortions of fame, and the spectacle often eclipses the substance. The camera archives the performance, but public obsession dictates the legacy. Once an artist surrenders personal boundaries to the lens, the psychological toll becomes an invisible tax. Fame weaponizes vulnerability, proving that an image surrendered to the masses never truly returns to its creator unscathed. Still, a fractured reputation is merely the beginning. When shock artistry crosses into legal warfare, the fallout mutates entirely. The shadows behind heart-shaped glasses are waiting. In the glare of exposure, the veneer of power can fracture in an instant. The next chapter shifts to the 1990s, where Mickey Rourke and Carré Otis faced a different kind of vulnerability captured in Wild Orchid and the images that vanished from view. Number 5. Wild Orchid. The Playboy images that vanished. At the height of the 1990s, Mickey Rourke and Carré Otis commanded attention with a rare combination of raw charisma and screen magnetism. Red carpets reflected their carefully cultivated allure, tabloids documented their chemistry, and magazine covers amplified their status as icons of both beauty and daring. Every interview and public appearance reinforced a dual image: Rourke as the brooding, enigmatic leading man, Otis as the fearless, sophisticated model-turned-actress. Together, they seemed untouchable, a pair whose careers promised not just stardom, but cultural permanence. The turning point arrived with Wild Orchid, a film whose sensual imagery and promotional material ignited intense media scrutiny. Reports stated that certain Playboy-associated images intended for controlled publicity mysteriously vanished, sparking rumors, speculation, and legal whispers. Headlines questioned whether the content had been mishandled, stolen, or suppressed, while studio executives moved to contain both narrative and reputation. PR teams orchestrated damage control interviews grew defensive, and the actresses' personal lives became entangled with professional fallout. Industry insiders claimed the scandal threatened to eclipse the film's artistic ambitions, turning carefully framed allure into an object of controversy rather than celebration. In the aftermath, Otis and Rourke navigated a media landscape increasingly fixated on scandal over craft. The vanished images and persistent speculation became a recurring footnote in both careers, reinforcing the notion that visibility in Hollywood can be as precarious as it is lucrative. While neither faced permanent exclusion, the episode underscored how fragile control over one's image can be when public appetite for spectacle eclipses artistic intent. Fame, like a spotlight, can illuminate achievement while simultaneously exposing vulnerability. Even curated publicity can unravel when control slips through unseen hands. The next chapter explores a far darker collision of fame and law. Heart-shaped glasses, where shock rock and legal battles converged into a career-defining shadow. Number 4. Heart-shaped glasses. When shock rock turned into a legal shadow. At the height of his notoriety, Marilyn Manson was the epitome of shock rock genius, provocative, magnetic, and untouchable in a culture hungry for rebellion. Red carpets, magazine spreads, and sold-out tours amplified his image, a carefully constructed persona of danger, charisma, and artistic audacity. Behind the theatrics, Evan Rachel Wood commanded her own spotlight. A rising actress known for precision, poise, and versatility that earned both critical and peer respect. Together, they embodied a collision of worlds, the raw unpredictability of rock and the disciplined elegance of Hollywood. The turning point arrived with the heart-shaped glasses era, when the music video and associated media attention ignited scrutiny that went beyond artistry. Reports stated that certain aspects of the production and the personal dynamics captured by press coverage became entangled in allegations, legal threats, and public speculation. PR teams worked to contain the narrative. Leaked headlines amplified the controversy, and every interview was shadowed by questions about consent, power, and agency. Industry insiders claimed that networks, studios, and festival organizers quietly debated association, while social media and tabloids fed a cycle of rumor that blurred the line between art and accusation. The spotlight that had once elevated both figures now amplified vulnerability, revealing the precarious balance between notoriety and exposure. In the aftermath, Manson's public persona remained divisive. Wood's career continued under intense scrutiny, and legal filings underscored the collision of fame law and media spectacle. The episode became a stark example of how a single high-profile project can transform professional triumph into a shadowed legacy. Fame can protect and endanger in equal measure, leaving scars no applause can erase. Even the most calculated image can fracture when law, rumor, and public perception converge. The next story shifts to a different kind of paradox: Robert Pattinson, whose Twilight-Era experiment in Little Ashes quietly challenged expectations and sparked whispers that would follow him into superstardom. Number 3. Little Ashes. Robert Pattinson's Twilight-Era secret. At the crest of his early career, Robert Pattinson was a rising star in the global cinematic landscape. Handsome, intense, and already commanding attention through independent films and festival acclaim. Red carpets celebrated his presence with eager flashes. Interviews framed him as a serious actor with both range and charisma, and early roles built an aura of credibility that promised longevity beyond teen idol fame. His Twilight-Era emergence amplified public anticipation, positioning him as a figure capable of bridging mainstream superstardom with auteur-driven projects. The turning point arrived with Little Ashes, a daring art house biopic that required Pattinson to navigate complex emotional terrain and intimate vulnerability on camera. Reports stated that a particular performance choice sparked whispers among critics and audiences alike, suggesting a level of realism that blurred the boundary between acting and personal exposure. Paparazzi retrospectives and festival coverage amplified speculation, while industry insiders claimed agents and PR teams had to negotiate carefully to prevent misinterpretation from overshadowing the film itself. Media chatter framed Pattinson's boldness as a potential gamble, threatening the delicate balance between credibility and controversy, just as his mainstream visibility was peaking. In the aftermath, the whispers persisted, but Pattinson successfully transitioned into wider recognition without permanent damage to his image. Critics debated artistic bravery versus calculated risk, yet the actor maintained his trajectory into global franchises and critically acclaimed projects. The episode illustrated the fragile line between artistic commitment and public interpretation, showing how even measured risk can be amplified into rumor and legend. Fame, no matter how carefully managed, carries its own shadows. Even careful ambition can cast unexpected shadows when perception overtakes intention. That tension would next confront Chloé Sevigny, whose The Brown Bunny risked professional ruin with a single controversial scene that defined a decade of speculation. Number 2. The Brown Bunny. Chloé Sevigny's career execution attempt. At the peak of her indie film career, Chloé Sevigny embodied the modern muse, poised, fearless, and effortlessly stylish. Red carpets reflected her quiet charisma. Critics praised her nuanced performances, and every festival screening reinforced a reputation for intelligent risk-taking. Interviews portrayed an actress fully in control of her craft, balancing art house credibility with mainstream visibility. Her name carried weight in both European and American circuits, a symbol of cool sophistication capable of elevating any project with gravitas and authenticity. The turning point arrived with The Brown Bunny, a film whose explicit content thrust Sevigny into a maelstrom of controversy. Reports stated that a single, intimate scene became the focal point of festival criticism and tabloid scrutiny, overshadowing the film's artistic intentions. PR teams scrambled to navigate headlines, interviews grew defensive, and industry insiders claimed executives privately cautioned her about potential long-term repercussions. Media speculation amplified the narrative, framing Sevigny not as a committed performer, but as a figure whose professional judgment was suddenly questioned. The red carpets that once celebrated her artistry now felt like a gauntlet of public opinion, each camera flash a reminder of the fragile balance between audacity and backlash. In the aftermath, Sevigny's career endured, but the episode left a lasting imprint: whispered criticism, festival debates, and the persistent association of her name with controversy rather than craft. Opportunities reportedly shifted, forcing careful curation of roles, while the film itself gained notoriety more for scandal than cinematic merit. The illusion of control proved vulnerable, even for an actress at the height of her reputation. Fame can pivot from acclaim to scrutiny in an instant. That fragile equilibrium of public perception would next challenge Sienna Miller and Hayden Christensen, whose Factory Girl became a nexus of rumor, media obsession, and professional uncertainty. Number 1. Factory Girl, Sienna Miller. Hayden Christensen and the Rumor Machine. At the height of their careers, Sienna Miller and Hayden Christensen were among Hollywood's most scrutinized young talents, glamorous, ambitious, and positioned for global recognition. Red carpets reflected polished elegance, magazine spreads amplified their cultural cachet, and every festival screening reinforced an aura of credibility and promise. Miller's edgy sophistication and Christensen's franchise-backed appeal made them both media darlings, their personal and professional images meticulously curated to balance charm with artistic seriousness. Public perception painted a flawless tableau of talent, beauty, and potential. The turning point came with Factory Girl, a high-profile biopic whose intimate content and celebrity connections ignited a swirl of media speculation. Reports stated that paparazzi and tabloids amplified alleged improprieties on set, framing whispers into headlines and fueling public debate over authenticity, consent, and professionalism. PR teams worked frantically to manage festival reactions and interviews, while leaked images and anonymous accounts circulated online. Industry insiders claimed executives privately debated the project's promotional strategy, wary that rumor might eclipse the film itself. The actors' carefully constructed images were suddenly vulnerable, caught in a relentless cycle, where personal scrutiny became indistinguishable from professional assessment. In the aftermath, both Miller and Christensen weathered sustained public attention and industry whispers, balancing ongoing projects against the shadows of speculation. The film's reputation became inseparable from the rumors, creating a lasting footnote in each actor's career trajectory. While neither career collapsed, the episode demonstrated the fragility of reputation under unrelenting media observation, and how perception can destabilize even the most meticulously managed public image. The cost of visibility in Hollywood can emerge quietly, yet persist indefinitely. With the final frames of this journey behind us, the scars of ambition and exposure remain, reminding us that behind every glittering premiere lies the hidden ledger of consequence. Behind the flashbulbs and viral headlines, Hollywood scandals reveal the human cost hidden beneath the glamour. Careers collapse on a single headline. Vanity distorts identities, and the relentless spotlight isolates those it once elevated. Hollywood's Stars and Scars exposes the silent alarms ignored by studios and tabloids alike, reminding us that courage is knowing when to step back. Empathy is seeing the person behind the performance, and survival often means preserving your mind before the applause fades. When the cameras vanish and the crowd forgets, the price of perfection becomes a silent echo. Careers crumble in shadows, secrets rot behind red carpets, and illusions die louder than applause. Hollywood scandals leave traces the tabloids won't show, and the stories that survive are the ones the industry tried hardest to bury. Subscribe to Hollywood Stars and Scars to uncover the next hidden dossier. Witness the truths the spotlight conceals, and follow the reels that map fame's fragile edge. Remember, brilliance blinds, but the scars linger beyond the glare.